Wales, 48 points to 7 over the Italians. It's getting to be a bit of a familiar story in this year's Six Nations. Italy copping nigh on 50 odd points, scoring a few of their own. For Wales, it's the bonus point they needed. They got that pretty early on. And their campaign for a Six Nations title and a potential Grand Slam will go down to the final week for them, although the French will still have a game in hand. So, yeah, I'll go over the key events of the game, some of the stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how the game went. Now, to be honest with you, I didn't watch it live. It was on at a bloody awful hour to watch it over here in New Zealand. I watched the crunch. I watched that one live, and that was 5:45 a.m. So that was bad enough, and this was like 2 hours before that. So I did not know the result or the scoreline. I mean, I could kind of guess, but I didn't know. So I was kind of going into this one fresh, which was nice. It's the way I prefer to watch the games. And it didn't start great, did it, for the Italians? Straight away, kick it too far. Kick it into the Welsh in goal, so it was a scrum on halfway. Not a great start. Like, Wales, despite all their detractors, have been in hot form. Like, many aspects of the Welsh game plan are working pretty well. And I know the Italians are at home, but without the crowd, you need to have an accurate outing. And it didn't start that way. Wales kicked the first penalty to make it 3-zip. And on 6 minutes, Beji gets yellow carded, which is not what they needed to start the game. Like, Wales were like 8+ phases on the attack into the Italian half with advantage. Gareth Davis, when they called for the penalty, I think because there was no advantage, Gareth Davis tapped it and went, and Beji tapped him after about 5 meters, so he needed to get back to 10. Ref says that's cynical. Negative play, not being back to 10, so from a yellow card. Again, that's not what you need, man, if you're the Italians. You need things to go right. And, a yellow card. So playing with a man down, not a great start, but it's just the Welsh turning the screws, man. Why wouldn't you? From the resulting scrum, there's 2 passes out to the left wing. Remember, because it's a scrum, they needed to bring on a replacement hooker to replace Beji, so Monty Ioane has gone off, so there's space out wide. Wales do not need a second or first invitation. They just take the space. They take it out wide. It's like 2 passes from the back of the scrum. And, Bigger with a good pass to Adams, who goes over for the first try of the game. Great conversion as well. So 10 points to 0. 7 during the yellow card. A few minutes later, 4, 5, 6. Faletau goes over. It doesn't take them long. And again, it's smart play from Wales. They're moving the ball from one side of the pitch to the other because they know there's that extra space with the extra man. You see plenty of teams, and I know it's only Italy, like in terms of, I don't mean to be offensive, but in the scheme of things, Wales are unbeaten and Italy don't have a win. So they should be dictating play, and they were. But not every team capitalized on a yellow card that well. But, yeah, they were stretching the Italian defence, moving it side to side. 1 minute, they're out their left wing with Josh Adams, and he draws about 3 defenders. So with those guys drawn in, they shovel the ball to the other side of the field to stretch the defence. It's Faletau over on the right wing. So, yeah, they missed the conversion. It's 15-0. 12 points conceded during the yellow card. That's when the yellow card kind of expires. Really good capitalising period. And then once they're back to 15, like, Trua has a kick and he kicks it out on the full. So it's just like, man, the Italians, you're already 15 points behind. We're nearing on 20 minutes and you guys still look like you're not quite at the races. It's not a good thing. 21 minutes, Owens gets the first of his 2 tries. It's a line-out maul. They just absolutely power over. It's 22-0. 25 minutes, they do have a look at a damn bigger tackle on Meyer, and it's fine. They looked at it for longer than I would have looked at it, but I guess they're being thorough. I just don't like the long stoppages in the games. If you know me, I like to keep the game moving, but they play on from there. They were checking for foul play to make sure Bigger didn't hit him with his shoulder, but there's no contact between the shoulder and the head. But Meyer does go off for an HIA because he does look pretty stunned either way. 29 minutes. Wales get a penalty. They kick it out for a line out. They maul it. Owens reaches out. Got a long old arm on him. Bit of a Inspector Gadget arm. And boom, it's another try. It's another try for Wales. What is that, like 27-0? They're just like flying Wales. 34 minutes, the Italians do go about 10 phases, and it's maybe their first visit into the Welsh 22. They go about 10 phases, and eventually Jonathan Davis just rips the ball out in the tackle. Like, he's class. He's been one of my favourite Welsh players for many years, and he shows his experience there. And a minute later, it looks like Lewis Rhys-Zammit scored a try, but they chalked that one off for a forward pass. I didn't think it looked that forward personally, because the ball travels forward when you're running at pace. But they said forward out of the hands. They didn't replay it enough times. Doesn't make a difference, but they chalked it off. Half-time, bonus points already in the bag for Wales. Happy days. Second half gets underway. Doesn't take long, man. 42 minutes. George North shows he's still got some proper wheels. They take him off not long after, but Jonathan Davis, that man again, final pass, like little inside offload ball to George North. He just absolutely puts the hammer down. 34-0. And finally, I'm glad that I didn't want the Italians to get nilled. I'm pretty happy they managed to get a try through Monty Ioane. A few carries from some of the forwards busted up, and then he just chips it over Lewis Rhys-Zammit and is able to regather it in time to get over for a try. And it's a great conversion from Garbisi. So at least they got some points on the board. Did the Italians 34 points to 7. But that was the first and only scoring that they did for the entire game. 53, it looks like Adams has gotten another try for himself. And I'm going to need a better TV, because this is another time when I've looked at what the TMO is looking at and not really understood what's going on. Like, I watched the England game earlier, and I wasn't that sure about the Itoje try, and enough people have said in the comments, no, it's pretty clear he gets a try. And I'm watching on a bloody small TV. I've just moved house, so I don't have a big TV with me. But I saw the Josh Adams try in this game, and they checked the grounding, and I was like, that's all good. I literally wrote, all good. And then the TMO was like, no, he hasn't grounded it. I thought, surely that was grounded. Tell me, do I need like a 50-inch 4K TV instead of that little thing to see that grounding? I'm assuming the TMO's got a very, very crisp image of whatever it was, but it looked like a regulation try for me. But no. Josh Adams, so second try chalked off for Wales. 56 minutes, the Italians get another yellow card. This time it's Riccone on Halaholo. He takes the ball into contact and he just extends his forearm enough. It hits Halaholo kind of high-ish, but then rides up to his throat. So it's yellow, not red. If it was direct to the throat, it probably would have been red. He apologized. Not intentional. Needs to brace instead of pushing out. It's pretty regulation. Yeah, but it's not what the Italians needed. And from that 14-on-15 period, Sheedy gets a try. It's quick hands from Navidi. He gets man of the match pretty rightly so, I reckon. They hit the ball at pace, does Sheedy, so it's 41-7. And Rhys-Zammit gets an intercept on 64. I almost missed it because my kids were running around the house. My son asked me to quickly pop down the hall. By the time I got back, I just saw Lewis Rhys-Zammit steaming down the field. Mostly saw it on the replay. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So yeah, 14 points, 48-7 final score, and it's 14 points during the yellow card. So all up, the Italians have conceded 4 tries during the yellow card period. You can't be doing that. No. Yeah, like I said, you need to be accurate and old form, but they weren't that. Liam Williams put a tackle on him, charging in Bunda at one point towards the final 10 minutes. And the Italians were working for a try towards the end, but ended up knocking it on. Wales just kick it out. They fought till the end, the Italians, but, man, Wales were just way too good. You know a game is already dead and buried when Ken Owens is doing like a little chip and chase. I forgot what minute he did it, but he did that. Possession finishes 52-48 to Wales. Territory 57-49. The Italians, though, have more knock-ons. 2 to Wales, 4 to Italy. Handling errors is 19-15 15, so maybe slightly high. Line breaks 9-4. That's with Wales having more. Wales tackling is at 91%, which is just a phenomenal shift. The Italians are at 88, but remember, Wales have had 9 clean breaks, which means no tackle made. Dominant tackles, at least 2 of them were Navidi, and like I mentioned, he gets man of the match. 11-5. The Welsh defence is still ferocious. It was a proper bit of individual brilliance that saw Ioane go over. Otherwise, the Italians didn't look like scoring many points. Navidi man of the match. What can you say, man? It was a good run out for Wales. They were able to bring on their substitutes early. Corey Hill did take a little bit of a knock seemingly towards the end, but hopefully he's all right. Jake Ball gets his 50th cap, so congratulations to him. It's another very similar scoreline. What else can you say? Italy have got Scotland in their final game. It'll be the second to last game for Scotland, who are still a game behind. And Wales will travel away to France in search of that elusive Grand Slam. Not that elusive. They've done it in recent times. But, yeah, nobody would have thunk it prior to the season. But Wales are still looking the business. Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts on this one. Pretty predictable one. But Wales didn't go complacent. They still got it done. For Italy, like, there's still stuff you can improve on. But for every bit of optimism I have for them, there's a bit of pessimism there as well. And yeah, a bit disappointed. But anyway, that's what it is. You guys have any thoughts on the game? I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.